So it's the start of the 2023 season. We got a bunch of new guys here, and Raphael is teaching the guys about pulling the product for the job. So we're in the warehouse here, and he's just explaining what needs to go in the truck today so we can get started on our first pondless waterfall in Warwick, New York.
This is the confines of the, we want to make sure we still have a walkway here, right, that he can walk through. We want to make sure we have that walkway in the back where they can get through.
So we're starting the first project of the season off here. Before we start laying out the project, the guys on the install team are removing the perennial plants and placing them along over by the fence over there. We want to be able to re-put these back into the project when we're done. Baldo, what are we doing today?
Good, because now I'm working outside.
Are we building a waterfall?
Yeah.
Pondless waterfall, right?
Yeah.
Right now, Ralphie and Felipe are getting the aqua blocks in the right orientation. In front of me here, we have the Aquascape pump vault. That's where our pump's gonna be housed. Once we get these blocks in here set like this, we're able to take spray paint and actually spray around the parameter of the basin. Then we'll dig the area down to get these blocks sitting almost level to the outside ground, somewhere about 3 or 4 inches down, so we can have a nice bed of gravel on top. Right there in the distance is where that waterfall that Tom was talking about earlier, with the holding pool for the birds. We got a couple of new guys here starting the season off. We have, that's Felipe over there. We have Vasquez, we have Carlos, and then we took Baldo from the other install team today. So we have a lot of guys here working on this project, but before we get this season started, we want to make sure all these guys kind of know what the gist of the job is. Stay tuned as we start digging, getting this put in place. It's going to be a really, really awesome waterfall, and the birds in the air are going to love it. So one thing that's really important on these smaller projects is your material management. What the guys are doing now is digging that basin out for the aqua blocks and the pump vault. But as they dig that out, we want to make sure we put that soil in the proper location. We don't want to be moving soil multiple times throughout the project. So as they dig, they're actually placing the soil where the waterfall is going to go. Another thing, as you place the soil, you want to pack that soil with the tamper to make sure that's fully compacted to avoid settling later on in the future. Check that out. They did an awesome job. So the basin is already dug. Lunchtime is right around the corner, and our goal is to get this basin in the ground before we eat lunch. Before we can do that, we got to put a piece of fabric down below for protection on the liner, and then the liner will go into the hole, and then we'll put another piece of fabric on top. That'll protect the liner from the aqua blocks and the pump vault. Once we get that all in place, then we can take lunch. By setting goals in the morning, allows you to complete a project in a timely manner.
So we've got all kinds of places to get rocks down here. I don't know how much you need.
Wow, they're covered with some nice moss.
You came several years ago with 2 things for me, neither of which you were able to get done, but one I remember was whether we could turn this into...
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I remember that. And what is that?
It was a windmill. It was a water pump, and actually goes into a stream back there. I was told by one of the farmers down the road that they had a drought one year, and this was where they got their, the whole neighborhood got their water from.
So the guys got the liner in the hole, and then right underneath that liner is this protective fabric like I was talking about right here. Then they go and grab another piece over there, bring that in, lay that on top for extra protection. Once we get this all in, we can backfill around the blocks and we can start construction on the waterfall. So in order to fill behind the blocks right now, the guys are flipping the liner and the underliner forward. What that will do will expose the void between the blocks and the original soil. That void needs to be filled. There's 2 ways you could do that. Today, we're gonna be backfilling that with soil. The other way you could do that is filling from the top side and just filling that void with gravel. So it's lunchtime and it's perfect because the basin is in the ground and everything looks ready to go. When we get back after lunch, we'll be able to get the pump into the pump vault here, get the hose trenched up around and start setting some boulders for the waterfall. Tomorrow we'll come back. We're kind of taking it a little easy on this first project because 3 of us are experienced and 3 aren't, and we want the other guys to kind of just follow along. Take it slow, kind of so they can really grasp the concept. It's important to train your employees so everybody can be equally as effective on the team. As we're working on this waterfall here, we're trying to get the rocks as random as possible. And because of the small area, we're not using too large of boulders, and our elevation is not gonna be too high. In a tight area like this, using a lot of elevation, it'll look really, really funny and almost volcano-ish. But having the nice drops here and there give you a nice sound and a really nice natural look. The guys are blocking up the spot underneath the back of the log here. And we're gonna fill in this area here with some gravel. Today's goal, because we're showing some of the new guys, some of the techniques, I'm really just worried about working on this bottom area. I don't wanna rush it. I want this thing to be perfect. And we have plenty of time on the schedule to be back here tomorrow. Checking out the area right there under the level. You can see there's a nice little belly in this log. That'll give us a heavier flow of water right in the middle there. I like to place that little rock out in front so water will actually come down and splash, giving you a more natural look. The more random you can be with the patterns of water coming through here, the more natural this little backyard stream is gonna turn out. So we're starting off day 2 here, and we're in the yard and we're picking out some stone before we head over to the project. We want some nice waterfall spillway stones, as well as some character boulders for each side on the outside of the waterfall. Raphael is in the little excavator. Felipe just hopped in his skid steer, and we're gonna fill up the truck with some stone and start heading over to the house. We're gonna be pulling a couple more of these boulders out of the woods to use in the water feature, and so we don't scratch them up and lose them down the hillside. Baldo is strapping them up with a strap, and we'll hoist these rocks up top and place them in the waterfall. The moss and lichens really give the water feature a nice feel. This pondless waterfall is going to be for the little birds in the backyard. We're going to be making a nice little pooling area here. This is our waterfall dropping off, and we're going to add some soil and then dig the area down. That way, even when this thing is shut off, there'll be a holding little body of water where the birds can come and get a drink, whether it's the early spring, middle of the hot summer, or into the fall. And then up top over in the area over to my right over here is where the waterfall is going to start. Another thing we talk about in our videos is the importance of the views from inside the house. That window over there to the left is from the kitchen sink. The window to the right is from the dining room. And then up above, they have some bedroom windows. So when those windows are open, the sound of this waterfall will flood the house for a very tranquil, peaceful atmosphere. So we got a lot of the rocks set. That's gonna be the top upper spillway into that little pooling area for the birds. And before we finish off our edges, we're gonna start adding some waterfall lights into the feature to make sure we light up different spillways and we're able to hide the wire very easily. So right now we're cutting away some of the excess liner. We'll fold that up and reuse that for another project. So Ralphie just got that Aquascape spillway set in there. We're gonna add a little gravel underneath it so that area can drain in the wintertime, and then we'll hook up the plumbing to the back. The 2-inch pipe right now runs right along there, and I'm gonna take this nice little pocket knife that I've been pointing with and start cutting the rest of this liner. That way I can start tucking these edges and we can get this waterfall up and flowing within the next couple hours. So the end of the day yesterday started getting really crazy. We actually got to test the waterfall, but we're back here this morning just to give it a good cleaning and add an autofill into the pump fault. The autofill will regulate the water so they'll never have to worry about filling this thing throughout the season. Right now we're just rinsing down the pump fault area. The stream and everything's all rinsed down nice and clear. We talked about that holding pool area that would stay filled with water. Well, that's what's happening right now up in that area, which is perfect because whenever this waterfall is shut off, that water will always be there and the birds will have a place to enjoy. Right in front of me here, this little pooling area will disappear over time due to the fact that was done with a bib liner. We put the foam there and the rubber liner in that section, so that will drain down. But since we retain that one up there with soil, we will always have a nice little pool, whether this thing is on or off. This is that little float valve I was talking about, and that's gonna mount right down inside that vault. This is Mr. Raphael's first time doing it. He's got the drill ready to go, and this is gonna be another lesson on this project. So what we'll do is drill a hole into the side of the pump vault, so that way this section of the float valve can screw onto the wall. So the float mounts to the wall just like that. Tighten the nut up on the back side, just like that. Now we'll put silicone on these threads right here, as well as these threads right here. That'll screw right onto that. This fitting here allows for the 1/4-inch poly pipe, which will run back over there to the spigot. You put one of these on the spigot, and that allows you to use your regular garden hose as well as your autofill at the same time. You can also adjust the height of the water via that little wing nut over there, and that'll allow you to lift the float up and down. This fitting here will connect to your hose spigot or the 2-way splitter. This will allow the adaptation of that 1/4-inch poly pipe into your hose bib.
We've been really eager to clean up this beautiful flowering area we've closed to keep the deer out and the other critters, but to feed the birds and to enjoy a view from our kitchen, our bedroom, and to hear the beautiful sounds of waterfall. So we engaged the folks at Garden State Koi. They did a beautiful design for us.
and brought a crew, great crew in, very friendly, very creative, did a beautiful hassle-free job, and we're just in love with it. The only part that I'm waiting for is for the flowers to bloom in the spring, which I think will add up the color and more interest. And once we see what comes up, we'll then be able to fill in around, also with the advice of Timmy from Garden State. So one of the fun parts of this project, we moved to this property because of its rustic nature, 4 acres of land and quiet, and tried to build the house in an organic way that fit into the property, and also wanted the waterfalls to fill in the same way. And Timmy walked the property and found some wonderful stone specimens and a couple of cedar trees that had fallen down, and had this vision to take those trees and incorporate them into the waterfall feature. We have this wonderful variety of birds that come here all year round. We've got bluebird nests that we built, and this wonderful Carolina wren that sings to us every morning, and where it's a wonderful flight path for migrations as well. So we have Baltimore Orioles through here, so we try to attract them. And one of the features that Timmy built into this waterfall feature were some pooling areas for the birds to be able to drink and bird bath kind of a thing. So it's really enhanced our enjoyment of the birds. So we wanted to be able to enjoy the waterfall from the kitchen. So washing dishes is less of a chore, and we're always looking out for the birds, and we get to see both of those as well. We're looking forward to, in the warmer weather, to be able to have the windows open here and upstairs in our bedroom and hear the waterfall. That was very important to get the calming effect of the water as well.
Hey, thanks for watching, everyone. Don't forget to press that like button, hit that subscribe button, and ring that bell. It means a lot to me and my team here at Garden State Koi. And tune in next week for a new video as we take you on to another adventure. So we're starting off, the sun's in my eyes. Oh my God, that's even worse. Oh.